Welcome to Monday afternoon. I'm meteorologist Andrew Humphrey. Cloudy skies, but despite this, it is warming up with temperatures in the 80s. And things heat up again as early as tomorrow. More on that in your 7-day forecast, first at 4.
Also first at 4, firefighters discover a heartbreaking scene at this home. A father and brother trying to rescue someone they loved. Plus new rules for transgender swimmers. Some call it deeply discriminatory. We're talking to a longtime coach and a swimming parent who see it through a different lens. These stories and more next, first at 4.
Live from downtown Detroit, Local 4 News First at 4 starts now.
Good afternoon, I'm Karen Drew. First at 4, summer officially starts tomorrow, and get ready because we are going to feel the burn. Heat and humidity are making a comeback, and we could set a new record. Let's check in with meteorologist Andrew Humphrey. And Andrew, will this be the kind of dangerous heat we saw a week ago?
It will be very similar, Karen. We're talking about temperatures easily in the 90s and heat indices 100 or greater. Currently, we're seeing the warm air move in. Gradually, we have a warm front moving through, and it's making all the difference. Take a look at this 10-degree difference. 71 in Mount Clemens where it's cooler, but on the other side of the warm front where it's warmer, 81. 80s are overtaking much of southeast Michigan. The cool spots are to our north and east, while right here in the city we're at 80 degrees. We're looking at middle 80s with brighter sunshine out to our west, including 87 in Lansing, 85 in Adrian. 84 right now over at Metro Airport, despite the gray skies overhead. And as you can see, the showers we had earlier, they've all moved on. So we're in for dry conditions the rest of the evening, but it remains mighty warm with temps in the 80s through the dinner hour and still in the warm 70s toward midnight. We'll talk again about how much higher those temperatures get for tomorrow. And I've got your 7-day forecast coming up.
All right, thank you, Andrew. Detroit police are investigating a burst of violence on the city's east side that left 2 people dead and 3 injured. In the past 24 hours, investigators have confirmed the deadly chain reaction started by a drive-by shooting on the 19,000 block of Dean. A 21-year-old man was shot while sitting on his front porch. Nearly 4 hours later, more gunfire at Healy and Stockton as 4 people were shot there, 2 in Cranes Park and another 2 in a nearby apartment. 1 man died there. 3 others are injured. We don't have updated information on their conditions at this hour, but we will be updating the investigation. And also, police talk about their frustration with what they call senseless violence tonight on Local 4 News at 5. Detroit police are also looking for the man in this video. He walked into a gas station at Hubbell and Tireman just before 6 last night. You can see he pointed a gun at another man who was holding a child at the time. If you recognize that man in the white t-shirt and the tan bucket hat, please give police a call, or you can call 1-800-SPEAK-UP if you prefer to stay anonymous. He is now wanted for aggravated assault. This is damage from a fire that has devastated a family in Monroe County in spite of efforts from a dad and a brother to save a 12-year-old. The sheriff says a fire started in a detached garage in the city of Petersburg. Firefighters found the relatives trying to get inside, but they couldn't. Fire crews then found the 12-year-old had died. Malachi Giles was a student at Summerfield Schools. The father and brother were both injured. Both have been released from a hospital in Toledo. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Stellantis confirms layoffs will take place at the Sterling Heights stamping plant this week, but the automaker is not revealing how many workers will be affected. A spokesperson says the indefinite layoffs are designed to keep the plant operating in a more sustainable manner. The cuts are going into effect today. The UAW tells Local 4, quote, "Our union will work to identify available jobs where our displaced members can be placed, and we will ensure that all affected members will receive their negotiated unemployment benefits," end quote. Millions of parents will be facing a new decision this week, whether to get their children under 5 years old vaccinated against COVID-19. The authorizations were granted over the weekend for Pfizer and Moderna. Now, the vaccines are being rushed to doctors' offices and pharmacies all across the country. Devin Skillion tracking the preparations, and Devin, it looks like a lot of parents won't be rushing out right away.
That's right, Karen. One survey, in fact, showing just 18% of parents with very young children said they would vaccinate their child as soon as that vaccine becomes available. That means the vast majority could be waiting a while before signing their kids up for the shots. About 18 million children between the ages of 6 months and 5 years old are the last population to become eligible for a version of the COVID-19 vaccines. The director of the CDC gave her authorization and mapped out the guidelines for it over the weekend. While young children are generally less likely than adults to experience the worst outcomes from COVID, some still do. And there have been more than 20,000 hospitalizations and 442 deaths among kids under the age of 5, according to the CDC and FDA data. White House COVID-19 response coordinator says that is where these new vaccines will be helpful, and that's preventing serious illness.
We've seen this now with overwhelming data from kids 5 to 11, is it keeps kids out of the hospital. A certain proportion of kids end up getting very sick, even kids without comorbidities, and the vaccines are terrific at keeping kids out of the hospital. So it helps some with infection, but it helps a lot with preventing serious illness.
We've seen that in most adults as well. The first shots could be given as soon as tomorrow. Every state in the country except for Florida has placed pre-orders for the kid-sized shots, which started shipping last Friday. Coming up 5 o'clock, Dr. Frank McGeorge will join us to talk about some of the questions that parents might have about this newest vaccine. Hope you'll join us then. Karen, back to you.
All right, we'll see you at 5. Thanks, Devin. Another public hearing is scheduled tomorrow for the House committee investigating the January 6th attack on the Capitol. The committee is expected to focus on how allies of former President Trump tried to get state legislators and officials to change the results of the 2020 election. Sources say we'll hear from Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger. He is the state official the former president asked to find the votes necessary for him to win the state of Georgia. Tomorrow's hearing starts at 1 p.m. You will be able to watch live here on Local 4 and clickondetroit.com. There's a new twist in the debate over if and how transgender athletes should be able to compete in women's competitions. FINA, the world governing body of swimming, has approved a new list of rules. It will require trans swimmers to have completed their transition by age 12 to be eligible for competitions, including the Olympics. Athletes would also have to prove they have continuously suppressed testosterone levels since their transition. FINA also announced a new working group to take a look at creating a new open category for trans women in some events. The new rules do not impact NCAA athletes. Paula Tutman has been digging into this very complex issue. Paula.
Karen, it is so complex and so deeply charged. On the deep end of the issue, we're talking about something that is highly charged politically as well as emotionally and socially. But what FINA's done, it has drawn a line in the scientific sand, basically saying when boys start going through puberty and they start becoming men, they are physiologically, by design, given an advantage over women. And that's what this is about. Coach Bill Copeland has been a swim coach for 1 year shy of 5 full decades.
I've coached at the junior high, high school, college, and club levels.
His most recent gig, coach of the Delphinus Swim Club in Lansing, until COVID shut the program down.
I absolutely support LGBTQ rights and choices. The deal is I draw the line when someone who was born male chooses to compete with females after puberty.
He's referring to the decision made by FINA over the weekend. It's the world's governing body for swimming, which has ruled transgender women are ineligible to compete in competitive swimming if they did not transition prior to age 12 and the onset of puberty. Amanda Branch, a transgender woman living in Detroit, is hurt by the decision, believing it throws more fire onto an already painfully burning issue for transgenders.
This has been spreading like wildfire throughout everywhere people have discourse about this. And all of these people are angry and treating it as if these trans women are villains. Nobody would wish to go through the kind of things that trans people go through. Nobody would be like, sure, I want a gold medal, so I'm just going to go through all of this hate and all of these medical things.
But Coach Copeland and FINA say this is not about emotion. It is about science, period. And because it's such a volatile issue, this swim parent who started a Metro Detroit swim club and has 2 children who participated in competitive swimming for years wanted to tell his story, but didn't want to go on camera simply because he felt his opinion would be misconstrued as hate speech, which he says it definitely is not.
Through their first 5 years of swimming, she would beat him all the time. And it wasn't until he hit puberty that he actually just annihilated her and beat her times by probably 30 to 40 seconds in a course. In swimming, it's all physical. The taller you are, the longer your arms are, the more muscle that you have, the faster you swim in the water. It's just that's the way it is.
Yeah, you know, and also, Karen, I really want to tell you how difficult it was to even get all of these sides of the story, because it is so highly charged. And a lot of people, if they disagreed or if they agreed with this decision, they felt like it would be considered hate speak, or that they weren't allies, or in some way they were trying to make people wrong. And that in itself stops the ability to even have a conversation, an open conversation about this.
It's the conversation that is so important. We appreciate your time and your effort getting all sides to talk. Thank you, Paula.